mate. You've won it. Totally dominant. That was absolutely fantastic. Well done.
Max Verstappen's 2022 championship victory will be remembered as one of the most dominant performances by a driver in the history of Formula One. The fact that the Dutchman outperformed his rivals and broke numerous records on his way to a second world championship prompted numerous Red Bull F1 greats to comment on his achievements. Do you want to know what they said about Max? Then stay tuned. Verstappen successfully defended his world title this year, following up what was a tense 2021 battle with a relatively easy stroll to the 2022 title, with the driver winning 15 of 22 Grand Prix. After a brief battle with Ferrari early in the season, it was all Verstappen, with the Red Bull driver pulling together a run of 5 straight wins each side of the halfway mark of the season to ensure that it was just about a done deal. He finished it off in Japan, winning the championship with 4 races to go, and 2 weeks later, Red Bull secured the constructors' titles, giving them their first double since 2013. Here are what Red Bull F1 legends are saying about Max Verstappen. Given the challenges that Red Bull will face in the upcoming season, David Coulthard does not feel that Max Verstappen's achievement of a second title in as many years marks the beginning of the Verstappen era. However, they will be put through a more difficult test next year, since Mercedes has made significant advancements in the latter half of the season. And Ferrari, now that they have new leadership, is anticipated to learn from the mistakes they made in 2022. In addition to this, Red Bull will also be on the defensive when it comes to research and development, as the team has been penalised with a 10% reduction in the amount of time spent in the wind tunnel and CFD as a result of being found guilty of exceeding the 2021's budget cap limits. As a result of winning the Constructors' title, the Milton Keynes team was always going to have less time than any other team based on the sliding scale for aerodynamic testing constraints. However, the percentage of time that has been given to them has been reduced from 70% to 63%. As a result, Coulthard feels it's possible they won't be able to develop a car that can win the championship in the years to come. The former Red Bull Formula One driver, who is now working as a pundit, stated that the Verstappen era may well be over after 2 titles. Not because he's not a brilliant driver, but he may not have a title-winning car in the coming seasons. Nobody knows that in advance. No matter what happens, according to Coulthard, Verstappen deserves to be considered as one of the greatest drivers of all time. He stated, "Max is already among the greats. You'd have to be a effing idiot to claim he only achieved this because he was in a good car. Even if the RB18 is a particularly competitive vehicle, what Verstappen demonstrated was of an extraordinarily high caliber. The fact that none of Verstappen's teammates has been able to even come close to him over the course of an entire season says it all." Although Pierre Gasly, Alexander Albon, and Sergio Perez have all demonstrated that they are very deserving Formula One drivers, they do not stand a chance against Max Verstappen in a race for the championship, even in the same car. You're enjoying this video, right? You definitely don't want to miss out on other amazing videos. So all you have to do is hit the subscription button. It's that easy. Thanks for doing that. Let's move on. With 4 world championships, 38 victories, and 138 starts, Vettel is unrivaled as Red Bull's most successful driver. After winning the championship in the final race of the 2010 season, which took place in Abu Dhabi, he went on to win 3 more championships before his reign as an unbeatable force finally came to an end in the winless 2014 season, which was immediately followed by his move to Ferrari. Throughout the many twists and turns of this championship, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc kept F1 fans hooked to their television sets on race weekends. Before the Silverstone race, the former Red Bull driver mentioned that he believes Max Verstappen will win and retain his F1 title. However, he also hinted that his allegiance lies with his former teammate Leclerc. Vettel said, "I think it will be Max, but I wish it will go on to the end, and I hope Charles will pit Max, but rationally at this stage, I think it's Max." Vettel and Leclerc were teammates at Ferrari for 2 seasons in 2019 and 2020. The German driver was outperformed by his younger and hungrier teammate. However, they still share a great relationship, and even in the interview, Vettel was quick to recognise the Monegasque's talent. Mark Webber, who won 8 races while competing for Red Bull, was convinced that Red Bull had a car and driver that were unmatched this season. In 2021, Verstappen won his first Formula One championship, and he won it again this year. After Max Verstappen won his 6th race in the 2022 season, Webber predicted that Verstappen would easily win the championship. Webber said Red Bull will continue to dominate this championship. They have a car that is very good on downforce levels on all compounds of tyre. It's like a tennis player on all surfaces or a golfer on all holes, short, long, chipping, putting, driving. The Red Bull can do everything. Red Bull have pretty much an answer for anything at the moment. Max could wrap it up with 3 races to go. Between the years 2007 and 2013, Webber was a driver for the Red Bull racing team. During his time with the team, Webber and Sebastian Vettel helped Red Bull win 4 consecutive drivers' titles and constructors' crowns. After that, he drove for Porsche in the World Endurance Championship, which he ultimately won in 2015, alongside Timo Bernard and Brendan Hartley. The Australian was no stranger to team orders while at Red Bull, and the team have been clear they will favour Verstappen over Perez this season. However, Webber believed the Dutchman had proved he was already firmly in the ascendant at the last 2 rounds in Baku and Montreal. He said, "I like Sergio a lot, but over the course of the season, over time, Max will just find a way to start accumulating bigger points." In Azerbaijan, Max drove away down the road. It was a very emphatic victory. Then in Canada, it's raining, it's dry, it's cold, it's tricky, and Max all weekend was phenomenal. Daniel Riccardo believes newly crowned double F1 world champion Max Verstappen took his biggest step as a driver during their final season as teammates at Red Bull back in 2018, claiming it was then that the Dutchman had a bit of self-realization. Following his recent victory at the Japanese Grand Prix, which gave him back-to-back championships, Max Verstappen has been praised for his actions in and out of the car throughout 2022. Red Bull Motorsport chief Helmut Marko even stated that Verstappen made a big step forward in performance. However, Riccardo believes that the most noticeable change in Verstappen's strategy occurred some 4 years ago, when the Dutch driver emerged stronger from a series of early season incidents, including a dramatic collision between the pair in Azerbaijan to rack up podium finishes and race wins as the 2018 season progressed. Asked if he has noticed any changes in Verstappen en route to him doing the double this year, Riccardo said, "I think he definitely took a step. I think it was the last year I was with him in 2018. Across the first 5 or 6 races, he was in the wall a lot, having incidents or making mistakes, mostly on his behalf. Then through that year, it's just like he had a bit of a self-realization and a step of maturity, which is also natural. We all go through it. I honestly think that from the middle of that season on, he became a more complete driver." Riccardo believes the only issue that should be asked about Max Verstappen's future in Formula 1 is whether or not Red Bull can continue to create a competitive car. Verstappen, who will be 25 years old, is under contract with Red Bull until 2028. Riccardo said, "It's always hard to predict who will be a world champion. I think you can recognise the drivers who have the talent to do it, so I recognise that, in the right car, he would definitely have the chance to be world champion. I saw that in his future. There's no guarantee of success, but I certainly saw that, especially because he was so young. I'm not surprised he's in this position. Even now, predicting this will be his second of 5 or his second of only 3, it's hard to know, because again, you need the team and the package." Sainz became part of the Red Bull Junior team in 2010. His first experience in a Formula 1 car came at the Young Drivers Test at Silverstone Circuit in July 2013, where he drove both the Toro Rosso STR8 and the Red Bull RB9. According to Sainz, his old teammate Verstappen has performed admirably during the championship defense and has committed very few mistakes. The Ferrari driver said, "I think he's had a very strong season. He's made very few mistakes. Whenever he made mistakes, like in Spain, he spun in the same place as me. In Hungary, he spun. He recovered from the mistakes and went on to win. I think this is the biggest difference. Even in the days that he's had maybe a bit of an off, he still managed to go and win." As a result of Verstappen's car issues in 2 of the first 3 races, Leclerc was able to draw ahead of him in the championship standings by 46 points. This caused Verstappen's title defense to get off to a rocky start. However, the Red Bull driver racked up win after win over the course of the subsequent rounds, while Ferrari had an increasing amount of difficulty. Sainz said, "Since the first 3 races, they've also been super reliable. And you add up all those things and he's having an incredible season, and I think he deserves it. Him, as a driver, I think he's also doing a particularly strong job." What are your thoughts on Max Verstappen's performance in the 2022 season? Let me know in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.